I want to know everything about this country. I think our country deserves it. I think our family deserves it. I think the world deserves it. And by the way, I think for the sake of trust in all these involved agencies, including the Secret Service, which I love, and I love the men and women in the Secret Service, dear friends, you better tell the real story, son.
The president's son comes out to the cameras and says, "Dear friends, you'd better tell us the truth. Presidents, our whole family has the right to receive accurate information. So how is it that information is being hidden from the president and his family? By whom and why? Have we figured out the Epstein dossier there? Yes, Trump wanted the whole country to start demanding information about Epstein, especially the Democrats, of course, who decided that since Trump wasn't releasing it and was hiding it, there must be something bad about Trump in there, something terrible. Completely forgetting that for 4 years in a row, their own Biden administration kept searching and found nothing. Still, they assumed there must be something terrible inside if it wasn't being released, and they started demanding it, foaming at the mouth. And Trump, by letting them insist on transparency, gave the world this transparency that the Democrats now can't stomach. Now they have to quickly come up with all sorts of new nastiness about Trump, like suddenly finding out that Trump deceived Epstein. I'll show you now, you'll see. So supposedly he threatened to sue Trump, after which Trump, frightened, ran to the FBI to snitch on his pervert friend. I mean, just notice how much nastiness there is here right away, right? So, supposedly, he and Trump were courting 14-year-old girls together. Trump and Epstein, don't believe it? Okay, so you think that I am? Go ahead, say again that I'm lying, that I have no proof, right? You'll be boiling with excitement, everyone. Go ahead. Just don't do it against the wind, because you might get your face all wet.
In 2004, Epstein was confident that he was the main contender to acquire a property in Palm Beach, specifically a house. His offer was $36 million. He brought his friend Trump to show him the house and ask for advice on how best to move the swimming pool. After that, Trump went behind Epstein's back, offered $40 million for the house, and got the property.
Look at what a bad person Trump is. His friend asked him for advice, and he went behind his back and outbid his offer. Yes, I will show you very soon what was really happening with Kruks. How was the consciousness processed?
Epstein, who was well informed, was actually deeply involved in Trump's scattered finances. He realized that he didn't have $40 million to pay for that house.
Trump told Epstein that Trump, didn't have the money to buy that house. Who else did Trump tell that he didn't have any money? I think he just walked down Broadway and told everyone who would listen.
If that were the case, then it would be someone else's $40 million. At that time, Epstein believed it was $40 million belonging to a Russian oligarch named Rybolovlev.
Epstein thought that this money was from Russia. Oh, do you feel how the connection to Russia, Putin, and the KGB is showing up? He starts playing. Epstein. He knew all the Russian, Ukrainian, and San Salvadoran oligarchs.
Less than 2 years later, this same house that Trump bought for $40 million was sold for $95.
So he bought it for $40, sold it for $95 million. Well, Trump did a great job, he really did. And what kind of nasty thing could someone make up about this?
And this was actually sold to Mr. Rybolov.
Wait, the same Rybolov, as he's called, who bought it through Trump for $40 million. So Rybolov. Well, I think Wolf is mixing up the last name after all. He first gave $40 million for the house that Epstein could have bought for $35 million again, as Wolf explained to us. And then he gave Trump another $55 million for the same house. Do you understand anything? So Trump got $55 million. Well, basically for nothing, for finding the house, he found a good house, or for something else. So what did Trump get 55 million United States dollars for? This is all
A red flag for money laundering.
a red flag for money laundering. Whose money? Well, his real name is, of course, Dmitry Rybolovlev, but that doesn't really matter when it comes to money laundering. That is, the price doesn't match the purchase amount. Let's see what happened next. Dmitry, yes, Dmitry, the same one, Rybolov, also known as Rybolovlev, divided the land into 3 plots. And what did he do with it? He sold them all together for $108 million. I think he made a pretty good profit on a $95 million investment. Where's the money laundering here? The United States tax authorities showed that he made $13 million on this deal. Well, not counting maintenance costs, taxes. Well, not too bad, right? Right? I mean, well, it's bad, of course, but not completely bad. Here. So, we've figured out a bit about the most honest biographer, Wolf, the never-lying Epstein, and an agreement that can no longer be verified. And let's get back to Kruks and his, well, incomprehensible mystical mystery, the most unknown and famous criminal of the century. I would put it this way. Mystery buff. To be continued.
The White House says Americans want answers about Trump's killer, Thomas Kruks.
After a recent New York Post article revealed Kruks' troubling social media history.
Peter Doocy is live at the White House with details. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. This White House, of course, tries to be as transparent as possible on all issues, but it can't share what it doesn't know. And people here are basically saying that the authorities who informed them still don't know with whom. Thomas Crooks was in contact around the time when he was Googling the names Trump and Biden before shooting Trump and Butler.
Still don't know. And since Carlson and the journalists from the New York Post somehow found out much more than the FBI from the documents that the FBI itself has, but not from all of them, just from a part. And it's impossible to believe that the FBI didn't know at least the same things, but they hid it. Here's the question, why? After all, they're supposed to be for Trump. It seems like they're against those who tried and are still trying to kill him. How is that possible? Well, that means there must be some reason. The question is, what is it? Yes, yes.
Or the White House press secretary. Did you just hear in that interview with Miranda Devine how she talked about it? The president doesn't seem satisfied with the investigation right now. And actually, we're learning from some reports that in some of those social media posts that Crooks published, FBI agents involved in these cases were tagged. I said, alarm, hello, do you have a psycho here? But the FBI did nothing and didn't investigate.
Biden.
No,
I wonder if the president was satisfied. I think what worries many Americans is that what you've heard is only half the story from Biden's FBI. He was portrayed as an anti-Semite who loved President Trump. But then, when we learned what was said in his other letters or posts before he shot at the president, we realized that he had turned away from President Trump and then went to Butler's event. That was my problem, and many Americans shared it. Don't just tell me half the story. Don't keep things quiet because that creates aggressive rhetoric. It creates, just tell us the whole story. Tell us the facts. Let Americans choose for themselves.
it never made any sense. They came to Capitol Hill and testified. This guy just tried to kill the President of the United States. You expected us to believe he was only a Trump supporter? The timeline never made sense to us. We were lied to and told it was true whenever we questioned it. Now the truth is coming out.
Yes, Ezzy, some of the things he posted before, you'll see now. You see Trump on full screen. The literal definition of patriotism is at the beginning, kill the Democrats. That's in 2015, which is a terrible thing to say. Yes, obviously. And he also criticized the squad. Then he changes course and turns in 2020. How can you call others sheep, but you're too brainwashed yourself to realize how stupid you are? You guys often sound like an anti-Trump cult, and in my opinion means in my opinion.
Opinion.
But
The question is, and I'm not criticizing the current FBI officials because this was handled by a different administration. If we have American citizens in these apps who are being flagged, don't tell people to report if they see something if you're not going to follow up on it. And if a bunch of people are tagging the FBI saying, look at this post, and you didn't look at it, well...
And why? Why wasn't it flagged? Kill the Democrats? Well,
but here...
And Bill O'Reilly, let's listen to him. He's a man who is, well, both knowledgeable and wise. Listen, everyone knows perfectly well that the Democratic Party and those who hate Trump are trying to associate his name with Epstein. That's exactly what they're basing their strategy on. And that's exactly why the argument was made that we simply can't release all these Epstein files or whatever is in them for public viewing without thorough review. This information is unverified. So today the White House stated, look, what this Democrat congressman is doing, we've already talked about it. This is the woman who wrote the book. Virginia Giuffre openly stated, I have nothing to do with Donald Trump. At the same time, you won't even hear this in reports on left-wing American television. You won't hear this. This is an attempt to smear Trump and all the aforementioned principles. Michael Wolff, all of his
Life is dedicated
to harming the president and his family his entire life. Nothing has been verified. It's all just rumors. As a journalist, I look at this and wonder, is this really news? This woman has already publicly denied her connection to Trump. She wrote a book. And the thing is, the Department of Justice under Biden had 4 years to throw all this out. And they didn't do it because there's nothing there. If there was anything, the Democrats would have used it to destroy Trump against Kamala Harris, right? So it's just yes. That's what I meant. It sucks. That's how I feel. But American media, it seems,
Media, like the British Broadcasting Corporation, don't really try to give an objective assessment of what's happening. Pause. Their job is to hurt Trump. That's exactly it, like a nail in the coffin. Identify repetitive words and phrases, eliminate unnecessary repetition, retain references to American media, preserve intended meaning, maintain grammatical correctness. American media should. Everyone is free to choose what they live for. So we've come to what blew up the internet and turned our understanding of Tom Crooks and the series of other assassination attempts and murders in the United States in recent years upside down.
One thing is very obvious. One thing is absolutely clear. The trans movement is radicalizing mentally ill, violent terrorists and is targeting children. This pattern is undeniable. The shooter from the Blagoveshchensk church was transgender, the Nashville shooter was transgender, the Lakewood church shooter was transgender, the Colorado Springs shooter, the non-binary shooter from Denver was transgender, the Albertino shooter was transgender, the Iowa shooter was transgender, ladies and gentlemen. The killer of Charlie Kirk was in a transgender relationship with Furia.
You understand that playing with transgenders has led to the emergence of many mentally unstable and easily manipulated individuals. They are easily directed towards violence in general or towards violence against a specific person or a certain group of people.
Man or woman, boy or girl, male or female. This is embedded in us, in our very essence, by our common creators who love us. So just imagine, if you can, an ideology so satanic, so evil that it defiles the very fundamental creation of God in the first chapter of Genesis from the Bible. And then you see an easy step towards nihilism, a slide down the spiral, and excessive use of medication, sociopathic behavior. And ultimately, if you are that unhappy, if you are that broken inside, and if you are that overtaken by evil, you will do exactly what Satan always does. What is the nature of Satan? To steal, to kill, and to destroy. Before we move on to Thomas Crooks, get me that image of the transgender shooter from Minneapolis. I know for sure we have it from his journals. The journals of the transgender shooter from Minneapolis will definitely tell you what happened. Now remember, this transgender shooter went to the church and targeted S. The kids are kneeling and praying to Christ. The journals testify not just satanic iconography, but a real demon speaking from within the shooter. In a chilling excerpt, the demon appears in the mirror, and that evil creature spoke to the actual shooter. Now, the shooter is sitting there with a gun in a sketch on a draft, and the transgender shooter says, "When will this all end? When will this all end? When will it end? Lord, I pray, when will it end?" The demon looks in the mirror as if Satan himself is reflected and says, "When will you kill? When will you kill?"
By the way, I'm not sure I would use the same terms as Benny, but along the way, anything that goes against nature, he calls it against God, yes, against nature, and it leads to disasters. From the left's attempt to convince us that a person is unhappy if they were born one sex but should have been born another, and that this can and should be fixed, to the idea of loving your neighbor as yourself, which by definition is impossible, just impossible. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. But we've already lived our civilization for about 6,000 years on this earth. I mean, maybe more, but we don't know, right? And every time we have a conflict, we hit our neighbor or our brother over the head, but we never hit ourselves over the head. Here's the continuation, a heartfelt plea from one of them. Who am I? When will this end? Help me, there are exclamation marks everywhere. I don't want to. And the devil looks at him from the mirror and says, kill yourself.
A demonic satanic figure in the mirror. And the words she says translate as, "When will it all end? When will it all end? When you kill, kill, kill." So I think you don't need any further convincing that this is an ideology that should not be allowed to indoctrinate your children. A new account linked to Thomas Kruks shows only trans ideology. Crooks was shot by a Secret Service sniper, but not before he killed rally attendee Corey Kemper Trier, 50 years old, and seriously wounded David Dutch and James Koppenheaver, also shooting President Trump in the head. Then FBI Director Chris Wray informed Congress about the July 13, 2024 attack, stating that the Bureau found nothing in Crooks' online history that would indicate a motive or ideology. A week later, Wray's deputy, Paul Abate, told Congress that comments posted on one of Crooks' social media accounts appeared to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration sentiments. He's a Make America Great Again supporter. Wow, he's Make America Great Again. He's a member of the America First, Make America Great Again movement. I see, they're trying to kill Trump. Thanks to an enterprising source who discovered Crooks' hidden digital trail, we now see that Abate misled Congress by omission because he left out the entire section of Crooks' interactions. From January to August 2020, when he made an ideological turnaround and went from being a staunch Trump supporter to his fierce opponent. Then he vanished, no longer posting, that is, among the 17 accounts our source revealed.
He completely switched to leftist ideology.
And suddenly he went silent, as if someone told him to stop. Like the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk, Taylor Robinson Crooks apparently was interested in furry culture and explored gender identity. He referred to himself with the pronouns they on the DeviantArt platform, which is one of the largest online centers for furry art and the furry community. I'm glad this is explained here in the article, so I don't have to explain it to you. A furry is someone interested in anthropomorphic cartoon animal characters. Often it's a sexual fetish, it's grotesque. Enthusiasts,
Furries, that's what furries are, yes, are fascinated by characters that combine traits of animals and humans. They usually choose an animal and imagine themselves as that animal. They might make a costume, put on a mask, or wear a headpiece. Their term for sexual content is short. It's just yiff. And I don't know. It might be there, or it might not be there. It doesn't play any role. In furry communities, many people are transgender or gender fluid, meaning they may switch between being a boy or a girl, like, today I'm a girl. That's how you'd say it in Russian. A 2-meter tall guy joins the girls for a shower, and suddenly he stops being a girl and becomes someone else instantly. And what they call, well, as they say, non-binary people, in Russian it's probably non-binary, yeah. In general, in furry communities, there are 10 and some say even 20 times more transgender people than in any regular group. Well, than in general, so to speak, in human society. Yeah, don't you think all this is a bit much for a 5-year-old? Still pretending to be a kitty and not 1630? Yes, 30. I didn't misspeak. So that's how naturally psychologists and psychotherapists study these online communities. Interestingly, the figure of Satan is often depicted in this way.
do you see transgender ideology here? He's kind of like the satanic Baphomet. Have you ever seen what the Church of Satan worships? This is Baphomet. This is the real Satan. The figure of Satan is trans. The figure of Satan is a goat's head on a male body with female breasts. That's what they worship. And client, please click the third row on the right. You can see here that the statue of Satan, I don't know where it was installed, depicts little children being indoctrinated. By that I mean the following. You had a goat's head, which is obviously something like a man-beast, a symbol of bestiality. And that's in Detroit, and then obviously male and female genitals, and in their statues, they want to depict little children, like Thomas Crook or Taylor Robinson, to be consumed, which is of course the complete opposite of God, of what was God's intention. Man and woman, humans are created in the image and likeness of God, not with the head of a goat.
It's interesting, yes. It matches very closely. I would say it even gives me goosebumps.
We have this FBI video, all right? Let's finish reading the article and then we'll show you the FBI clip. One of the people Crooks communicated with online was Willy Teppes, a member of a Norwegian neo-Nazi group and the Nordic resistance movement, which has been designated as a terrorist organization. Teppes encouraged Crooks' violence and extremism using a Maoist phrase that political power comes from the barrel of a gun. Crooks repeated this several times in his comments. In one comment on October 5, 2025, more than a year after Butler, Teppes told another user that he had been contacted by Russian and American intelligence agencies. People who ask you to contact them, even though they could easily contact you themselves, are feds. That's how they avoid entrapment. Both American and Russian intelligence agencies do this. I've dealt with both, claims Kruks. Soon after this, Teppes Kruks vanished from the internet.
And let's put an end to this by quoting Trump's statement. So, on his Truth Social. But before that, if you want to constantly get quality content, please subscribe and click the bell. And if you are a United States citizen and you have amounts you need to write off on your taxes, then do it before December 31st. That is, not give it to the government. If you don't want your money to be put into something you'd rather it not be, then please send us $200 or more, and our nonprofit will provide you with a tax deduction document. And now Trump.
And it's time to forget about the deception of the leftist Democrats. A big success for the Republican Party, including recent victories over the Democrats' shutdown. The Department of Justice has released tens of thousands of pages on the Epstein case and is investigating Democratic figures like Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and Larry Summers and their Epstein ties. The House Oversight Committee can have whatever it's legally entitled to. I don't care. I just want Republicans to focus on the main issue, the affordability economy, where we're winning by lowering inflation, cutting prices, offering historic tax credits, and making major investments. And also building up our military, strengthening our borders, deporting criminal illegals, ending men's and women's shorts, and stopping transgenderism for everyone.
Housing, housing, housing. To the point. Housing. Come on, no one. No one cared about Epstein when he was alive. If Democrats had evidence, they would have released it before the election.
Some members of the Republican Party are being used, and we cannot allow this. Let's focus on the Republican Party's record achievements and avoid the Epstein trap, which actually hurts the Democrats, not us. Let's make America great. Well, in general, yes, that's very good.
On that note, let's make America great again. We're parting ways. Until next time.